Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome everyone to the Monday, May 19th, 2025 regular City Council meeting. If everyone would please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence. Okay. We have got a lot of good stuff to do again tonight, and I appreciate all of y'all for doing that. And I will be right down there in just a second. Okay. So, first we've got the girls lacrosse team. So if you guys can come right up here, ladies, come right up here and join me. And we can give them a round of applause. Absolutely. 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 Where's the coach? You got to have the coaches. Y'all not getting off on that? No. You got to come up here too. You're part of the team, right? Okay. All right. You're not like a fill-in coach just for a minute. You've been there for a while. Right? Okay. Okay. All right. All right. Okay, this is a proclamation recognizing the Fort Mill High School girls lacrosse team on being named the 2025 Upper State Champions. Awesome. Okay. Whereas the Fort Mill High School girls lacrosse team has demonstrated exceptional dedication, athleticism, and teamwork throughout the 2025 season. Whereas in a pivotal matchup against crosstown rival Nations Ford High School, the Fort Mill girls pulled away after a tightly contested start to secure a dominant 16-4 victory. The Yellow Jackets win capped off their regular season with a perfect Region 3 5A record. And whereas the team continued their streak with a 13-9 victory over Riverside and then an 18-8 victory over TL Hanna, which earned the Fort Mill High School Yellow Jackets the title of Upper State Champions and an overall record of 9-8 and the number 4 ranking in the state of South Carolina. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the Mayor and City Council of TK duly assembled do hereby recognize and congratulate the Fort Mill High School girls lacrosse team and the coaching staff on being named the 2025 Upper State Champions. Okay. I'm going to have to bring it all the way over here tonight. We got to. Okay, coaches. Okay, Mom, say we got it? Everybody got it? Okay. All right. Take it out. All right. Good thing that's pretty wet. We got to get that thing centered. Okay. Y'all don't want to stay for a little while longer? You know, we've got a great meeting tonight. It's going to be full of laughs and just excitement. I mean, it'd rival Mission Impossible. Excitement, you know. Won't be breaking any ankles or anything tonight, though. I hope not. That would be a bad thing. Okay. Chief Hasty, sir. Okay. And we got the boat running, right? Well, let's not go there. Okay. So, the reason Chief is here with us, we every year we do a National Safe Boating Week, and if you want to say a couple things about the Safe Boating Week and classes and that kind of thing that we're offering.
The Coast Guard Auxiliary does some boater safety classes. They're doing it at Cabela's. The dates are posted on the website, so anybody that's listening that needs a safe boating class, it's a great place to go. The marinas, they also do some things, loaner personal flotation devices. So if you go out and boat and you don't have one, typically at the marinas you'll find some spares there. So we encourage you to have your own so you don't get a ticket from DNR. But anyway, but please be safe. Don't drink and operate. Same as always, safe boating is fun boating, right?
Absolutely. Okay. So with that, this is a proclamation recognizing May 17th through May 23rd as National Safe Boating Week. Whereas the city of TEK is uniquely positioned along the Catawba River and the recreational waters of Lake Wylie, providing residents and visitors exceptional opportunities for boating, fishing, kayaking, and other water-based activities that enhance the quality of life and foster a connection to the natural environment. Whereas National Safe Boating Week, observed May 17th through 23rd, 2025, serves as an official kickoff of the Safe Boating Campaign, a global initiative dedicated to promoting responsible boating practices and raise awareness about the importance of safety on the water. Whereas the City Council of the City of TEK encourages community members to engage with the U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary, which offers safety courses and free vessel inspections and safety checks to help boat owners ensure their equipment is in good working order and meets safety standards. And whereas the City Council and the City of TEK further encourage all boaters to take personal responsibility for their safety on the water by wearing U.S. Coast Guard approved life jackets, using engine cutoff switches, remaining alert and sober, and being prepared with proper equipment and knowledge for every boating outing. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the Mayor and City Council of the City of TEK duly assembled do hereby recognize May 17th through May 23rd as National Safe Boating Week and encourage all citizens to embrace safe boating habits and support efforts to prevent accidents and save lives on our waterway. Please be careful out there, folks. This is, the water is no place to mess with.
Sir?
Yes, sir. Thanks, Steve. Okay. Matt Kelly. There he is. And Jeremy. Is Jeremy here? Is he working? Did y'all not let him off so he could come here and do this? All right, well, if he comes in the middle of it, we'll just stop and get him up here, okay? Perfect. Okay. So, by the way, this is one of our public work guys. He's awesome. Matt and Jeremy, they do a great job for us. And so we really appreciate you guys and all you do. So this is a proclamation recognizing the week of May 19th as National Public Works Week. Whereas 2025 marks the 65th annual National Public Works Week, which was established by the American Public Works Association. Whereas it is the public interest for citizens and civic leaders of TEK to gain knowledge of and understand the importance of public works and programs in their respective communities. Whereas public works professionals focus on infrastructure facilities and services that provide public health, high quality of life, and well-being of the people of TEK. And whereas the infrastructure facilities and services could not be provided without the dedicated efforts of our public work employees at all levels who are responsible for rebuilding, improving, and protecting our nation's transportation, water supply, water treatment, and solid waste systems, public buildings, and other structures and facilities essential for our citizens and our community. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the Mayor and City Council of the City of TEK duly assembled do hereby recognize the week of May 19th as National Public Works Week. We urge all citizens to join us with representatives of the American Public Works Association and government agencies in activities, events, and ceremonies designed to pay tribute to our public works professionals, engineers, managers, and employees, and to recognize the substantial contributions they make to protecting our national health, safety, and advancing our quality of life for all. Yeah. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you. That's not how I'm on there. We didn't need Jeremy anyway.
That's right.
Yeah, he's out with the grapple truck somewhere probably. Okay, but we do appreciate all of our folks, Public Works. They do a tremendous job for us. Just the other day I was talking with someone and they said, you know, this place is like a resort. I said, you're absolutely. It wasn't just somebody, it was one of our anchors from Queen City News that we were just at Windjammer Park and they were just looking around. They said, we can't believe that you guys actually get to just live here and look at this every day. I said, yeah, we're blessed. We're really blessed that we get to live here and look at, and as soon as that happens, you guys pull up with the brush truck and start cleaning up brush and that kind of stuff. So I said, it's because of those guys that we've got this beautiful place. So we appreciate all that you guys do. Thank you very much. Okay. Debbie, wait. There she is. Keith, y'all come on up here. So if everybody doesn't know them, they'll know you guys now. So Debbie is, she is our chair for the Tennis Association, president.
Not president, we're all just equal, but on it.
We'll just call you president, it's okay. And Keith is our standing club pro. He's awesome. If you guys have anybody that needs tennis lessons, he's the guy. So this is a proclamation recognizing May 25th as National Tennis Month. Whereas the United States Tennis Association, founded in 1881 in New York City, is a nonprofit national governing body for tennis in the United States and the largest tennis organization in the world, promoting the sport at all levels from beginners to professionals. Whereas the USTA works in partnership with local programs to increase the accessibility of tennis to people of all ages and abilities, highlighting its physical, social, and educational benefits through initiatives such as USTA adoptive grants. Whereas with a 46% increase in participation since 2019 and over 25.7 million players in 2024, the USTA has declared May as National Tennis Month to further promote the sport nationwide and encourage community engagement through local events and play opportunities. And whereas the City Council of the City of TGK desires to encourage players and non-players alike to find courts and play opportunities in our community as well as surrounding communities. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the Mayor and Council of the City of TGK duly assembled do hereby recognize the month of May as National Tennis Month in the City of TGK. And we appreciate all you guys do for our tennis. All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, I appreciate it. Okay. Okay, we've got another great thing that comes up every year, folks. First Saturday of June is always Friends Helping Special Friends. So this is a proclamation recognizing the first Saturday of June as Friends Helping Special Friends Day, whereas 18.5% of American children under 18 are special needs children. Whereas Friends Helping Special Friends was established in 1996 by Jack Brenner in recognition of his daughter who was living with special needs. Whereas William Spake and others joined the organization to assist in providing various activities to those with special needs, including a lake day occurring the first Saturday of June. And whereas the City Council of TGK desires to encourage inclusion throughout the community and participation in Friends Helping Special Friends. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Mayor and Council of the City of TGK duly assembled do hereby recognize the first Saturday of June as Friends Helping Special Friends Day here in TK. So that will be in Windjammer. So if you guys would like to come help, I'm sure that we can find you something to do. So thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
And we appreciate what the TK Fire Department does every year for us. The hamburgers and hot dogs are all provided by the volunteer fire department. So we appreciate all of those guys coming out and helping us. And it's always a great event, Chief. Appreciate you. Caroline, appreciate you guys coming out and helping us every year. It's always really good, and it does your heart good. It'll bless you. So thank you very much. That's all the proclamations we have.
Good evening. My name is Elizabeth Morgan. I'm with the Catawba Regional Council of Government. I'm going to be speaking with you tonight about a Catawba Regional Workforce Housing Study. So first of all, I just want to say thank you for having me. This is something we've been talking about throughout our region, and so I'm happy to share this information with you tonight. All right. Perfect. Okay, so first we're just going to go over a bit about the needs. So the Catawba Regional Workforce Housing Study, or we're just going to call it Workforce Housing Study because that's a lot easier to say, has been coming up a lot over the past year at different meetings we've been going to, both regionally, statewide, nationally, this topic of workforce housing. And so we've noticed that this has come up at meetings we've gone to. We've had a lot of folks in our region ask us about this. You know, housing in general has been a hot topic, but workforce housing in particular is something that is on a lot of people's radar. So at the COG, we got together a group of local stakeholders from the region to just have a discussion. Was this something people are interested in? Is this something we want to focus on? And overwhelmingly, the answer was yes. So a lot of our communities see this as a need within their own community, within our region, and it's something that has come up not just as a community development issue, but as a workforce development and a economic development issue. Bringing in new companies, bringing in new industry. They want to have somewhere for their employees to live. And so we need to make sure we've got that within our communities. So we had this conversation. Our region is, as you know, is Chester, Lancaster, Union, and York counties and all the municipalities within. And so we had different stakeholders from both the public and private sector that met to talk about these issues. And it was outstanding how many of the communities, even though they're very different, had a lot of the same issues, a lot of the same comments that were coming up around this issue. So we saw this as a green light to go ahead and, after speaking with these communities, to pursue a study that would give us the data we need to know how do we address these issues. So without having the data of what is the true issue, what are we missing, what are the statistics, what is the data, it's a little hard to come up with a solution. So the first step would be to find the data, find out, where are we missing housing stock? How much housing stock do we really have? What kind of housing stock? What's the density? All of these different things that we need to be able to craft solutions for our communities. So the COG looks at facilitating the implementation of a large data study, and it'll concern the workforce housing market, but we'll look at inventory, cost, relationship to economic conditions, and jobs in the four-county region. So this could also include some forecasting. Where do we think jobs are coming? Where do we think housing is moving? Where do we think density is growing? So this will look at several of those different issues. So the study itself will focus on the workforce housing market, again, inventory, cost, density, and it'll also provide local jurisdictions with the data they need. So we didn't want a study that was just like overarching of the whole region. We really want to drill it down to municipalities. And in a moment, we'll look at some of the reasons why that is, but it's basically because within our region, our jurisdictions are different. So, what's happening in Union is different than what's happening in York. What's happening even in our own counties is different. What's happening in, Heath Springs is different than what's happening in a different part of Lancaster County. What's happening in York is different than TK. So even areas within our own communities have different needs and different things they need to address. So we want to provide that data really at a local level for our communities so that they can take that data and really put it into use where they live and where they work. So we're looking at data that can be used throughout the whole region, but we will have shared baselines, so we can have a lot of that large data and then down to the small data. And then also knowing that the way that our region is, we have a lot of people that commute. So that kind of overarching regional data would also be beneficial because we do know people are commuting within our counties and from county to county for jobs, for school, and for work. So the study will be both counties and municipalities. And then we've also got some folks in the private sector that are interested in this information as well. From a workforce and an employer standpoint, you know, where is this housing stock going to be so that new industry can be coming in, so that there's housing for our workers. So we've also got kind of a public-private partnership in that way too, so that we can look at both of those sides. And then we've got several communities that are interested in this information because it's already in their strategic or comprehensive plans to look at workforce housing, to look at some of those issues, and so this data will be helpful for those issues for those folks, or they're crafting comprehensive plans that they would like to have some of this information in as well. So we also need to know what workforce housing is. So we've heard a lot of different terms. You know, you hear affordable housing, attainable housing, workforce housing. So workforce housing, for the purpose of this study, we're really looking at that 80 to 150% AMI, or that area median income. So this is above what is normally considered affordable housing, and there's programs from HUD and CDBG and different groups for affordable housing. This is a little bit above that. This is kind of targeted towards a lot of our essential workers, so teachers, fire, police, service industry workers, military, veterans, teachers. So we're looking at that area, that group of people, to make sure that there's housing stock available that is affordable and attainable for them. The data that we get from the census, you can see some of that here, the 80 to 150% of AMI in our counties. So for Chester County, that looks like around 40,000 to 76,000. For Lancaster, it's around 60 to 112. For Union, it's like 32 to 61, and in York County, it's closer to 66 to 125,000. And that it kind of varies depending on how many people are in your household. So as you can see, just in our 4-county region, that number is kind of all over the place. So we know, you know, the salary that you might make in York County can get you a different kind of house than if you made that same salary in Union County. And that's why we want to have this data study, to really be able to see what is it that people in this 80 to 150 can afford. What can they like reasonably buy without becoming what we call house dependent, where you're between your mortgage, your electric, your water, your insurance. You know, you don't want that to be too much of your paycheck. So where can we find a spot that we can find housing for folks, whether through infill or new construction? What can we find so that we're targeting these folks? So again, healthcare workers, teachers, first responders, service industry, industrial, manufacturing. It's a large chunk of our workforce that we want to be able to make sure they can afford housing. And so where we're at now with the study is we are working on getting local participation. So we've been talking with cities and counties to see who wants to participate in the study, who wants to be a stakeholder. And so we need some buy-in because we are going to, the COG will not be putting the study together. We'll have a consultant come in and do the study. So what we've looked at, we've talked to some other regions that have also done this type of study, a housing data study, to get a ballpark of where we need to be as far as the cost of the study. And so our goal is $260,000. And so what we're asking for from different municipalities, anywhere from $5,000 to $90,000 is kind of the ask, with the counties bearing the major portion of that. And we came up with a formula. So the counties were at $15,000, and then a per capita amount. The total amount we're asking for from the counties is about $180,000. The COG is putting in $20,000, and that's in kind of staff time, project administration. The Development Corporation, the COGS Development Corporation, has committed to $15,000. So far, we have $25,000 committed from private stakeholders, so the private sector, and then we're asking municipalities to come in at about $5,000 each, hoping we'll get about $5,000. We've already got a commitment from 3 different municipalities. We have several others we've talked to that are putting it in their budget review. So we know this is budget time, and so this is a good time to put it in your budget or be looking at end of the year, is there some money you need to offload before the end of your budget year? So altogether, we're looking about $265, and that includes the $20,000 of administrative costs. The timeline, so we're hoping to have a lot of our commitments in by the end of May, maybe June, so that in June and July we can start working with our stakeholder group to put the RFP together. We want to make sure that our stakeholders are getting the information they need out of this study. So we're going to put together a group of stakeholders, anybody that is part of the project that wants to participate, to make sure they've got a say in crafting the RFP. It's only as good as the information we put in, what we get out, so we want to make sure everybody's voice is heard, they're getting the data and the information they need. So we would put that RFP together, it would go out to bid, we'd have a selection of a consultant, and then hopefully this fall get started on the study, and then by this time next year be able to make a presentation on the results from the study and have that information for our localities to be able to start looking at policies, zoning, just whatever information they need to look at to come up with solutions to workforce housing. So this is something we've seen presentations about from other areas, like I was saying. So Northern Kentucky housing data, the Northern Kentucky Area Development District, this was a really interesting study, and you can follow this link or I can send it back out to you. And it is, if you're kind of nerdy like me and you like data, spend some time here because it's a lot of information. But it's really interesting information about where they see trends, the history of housing data, the history of housing in the area, and then where they think that might be going. And then this group used that information to come up with a secondary plan full of different strategies and implementation strategies. And this study was really driven by employers. So employers came to the area development district and said, we really need more housing for our employees. We would love to have more, we'd love to bring more industry in, we'd love to grow our business, but we need places for people to live. So that is kind of interesting that one was driven by employers saying they need workforce housing. Another one that's a little bit closer to home, and this is another term we hear a lot, is the missing middle for this area, like the missing middle housing stocks. We have affordable, we have high-end, but we're missing this middle section. So Asheville did a middle study analysis and came up with some creative ways to kind of plug into Asheville some, even in areas that were already developed, ways to have workforce housing and middle housing in that area as well. So that was another interesting study. So next steps, we're just finalizing all of our commitments. So part of the reason I'm here tonight is just to provide this information. We would love for TKK to participate. It's something, we would love for you to discuss and just get back to us and let us know if this is something you feel like would be helpful for TKK. If it's not, that's okay too. But we just want to make sure you have the information and know about the study and what we're planning to do. We're currently at about 230, so we have a good chunk, a good start, but we're still trying to get to that 260, 265. Once we have all of our commitments in, then we'll go ahead and start crafting the RFP, get it out to bid, and hopefully begin our study in the fall. And I can take any questions, or y'all can contact me later. My contact information's there, or you can reach out to us at the COG anytime.
Thank you, Ms. Morgan.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Do you want me to advance this again?
Okay, that'll bring us to our city manager report. So if you would, Mr. Funderburk, take it away.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. Here's some reports from our various departments. After much anticipation, this is coming out of our admin department. We're thrilled to finally unveil our newly redesigned website. Hopefully y'all have had an opportunity to go on there. Our last update, which was completed 4 years ago with Civic Plus, definitely served us well, but this fresh new look better reflects the city's evolving brand. I want to take a big thank you to all of our staff that worked on this, but specifically our Deputy Manager, Joey Blethen, and our Municipal Clerk, Casey O'Brien, really spearheaded these efforts on the design, and both of them working with the various departments to make sure that their pages were updated through that design process. And we really hope that the general public enjoys it and is able to find all of the data as easily as possible as they can through our website. So it was a big undertaking, took many, many months, but glad to see that, that project completed. Development services, we've got some exciting progress happening with Main Street. So they have received their final approvals from SCDES as of today. They will be submitting for grading permits very soon, and we're anticipating an official groundbreaking ceremony in early June for that project. So don't worry if you see them out there getting mobilized here in the next week or two. They are working with us to plan a groundbreaking ceremony once they've got that site started. But looking forward to that. The tech team has approved the preliminary plat contingent upon the developer getting street names and the development name through the E911 system. So the county has to approve those so that there's not confusion when people are calling in for public safety needs. So they are, from what they told me last week, they're hoping that will happen later this week, which will put them at the June Planning Commission meeting for their preliminary plat approvals. So very excited about that. Behind the scenes, our staff is actively working with the Evolve software system to roll out our new code enforcement module, and it's just another step forward in streamlining and enhancing those processes. So stay tuned on that. Obviously, we'll be pushing that information out once it is ready, but they've been hard at work on that and getting close to the end. A quick reminder, anyone can now search for public permit records using the Evolve software that is on our website. It's a great tool if you're curious about your own property or others in the area. You can pull those up. You just got to create an account. It's a very simple process. So again, you can access that through our website. They also conducted a very productive comprehensive plan steering committee meeting on Monday, April 28th. During that meeting, they reviewed valuable community feedback from the online survey and open house, and had a great discussion on vacant properties and upcoming construction activity across the city. So glad to see that moving and grooving with our comprehensive plan update. In the fire department, excited to welcome our newest team member, Brian Earhart. He joins us from the Lake Wiley area and has got a lot of fire certifications. And with Brian on board, we're finally back up to full staff in that department. So excited for that group for sure. Big thank you to, they want to thank everybody that came out to their last Firehouse Stories on the 17th. It's always a pleasure connecting with the community, and our fire staff does a great job with that program. They'd also love for you to join us, and I may be taking something from your later council comments, but next Monday's Memorial Day, and the Veterans Association once again has another Memorial Day celebration for us that'll happen on May 10th. Scheduled for the Memorial Gardens. Keep an eye on the Facebook pages in case it's raining that morning. We'll probably move it indoors like we've had to the last couple of years, but hopefully we're able to celebrate that outside, and the fire department will obviously be out there with the big American flag hanging over TK Drive, which is always a welcome sight to see. Parks and Recreation. Beach and Swim Center Pool is officially open for the summer. Weekday hours will kick off this Thursday, May 22nd. And we'll move to that 7-day-a-week operation starting Memorial Day. So when we open Thursday, it's open 7 days a week, obviously weather permitting. But if you haven't gotten your Beach and Swim Center sign up, jump on the website. You can do it all online, get signed up, so that way you don't miss out on all the fun down there at the pool. The pickleball court reservation system is well underway. The newly renovated courts the new ones are open. They're still working on the resurfacing on the old ones, but hopefully the weather will cooperate with us a little better than it did last week, and we'll get that wrapped up as well. But folks are able to play on the new ones while the other ones are under renovation. We are wrapping up our recreation sports season. I'd like to extend a big congratulations to those kids that were selected to our baseball and softball All-Stars. Tournament schedules will be posted very soon on our website and on our social media page, our Parks and Rec social media. So please be sure to follow along and cheer on those teams if you're able to come out and watch that. They've worked hard all season to make those all-star teams, so we're proud of them and looking for big things for them through the tournaments. Registration is now open for the land and boat parades happening this July 4th. We're also accepting nominations for the 2025 Grand Marshal. So visit the events page on the city website for details and registration information on that. And speaking of our events, I would now like to bring Miss Caroline Hasty up, and she wants to do a quick wrap-up on the Best Damn Food Festival. Caroline?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor, Council, for having me. We had a super exciting second year for the Best Damn Food Festival by the dam in Catawba Park. I usually have to still throw that out to people. It still confuses them. But I wanted to share some facts that we have received about the festival and what's coming our way. TKK is getting a lot of attention, and I'm really honored to be a part of it. So according to Visit York County, who has become a great partner with us, through their program, we were hoping to gain 5,000 visitors. That would have been a win for us. But it is estimated that 7,000 was in attendance during the peak time from 5 to 8 p.m. That's huge for TKK. Parking lots remain full for hours while showing us that folks are staying for an average of 2 hours or more. 22,000 people viewed our festival website. So I love the new website update. It's easy to flow right into, so it really has come in handy. 6,000 of those visitors access the city website from their mobile devices, so they're going and looking. I love that. 35 food vendors offer delicious entrees and desserts along the Munchie Mile. 50 arts and craft and business vendors line Beaver's Bazaar. An incredible 50 DAM crew members make it all happen. The report noted that folks staying for an average of 2 hours, meaning that folks are coming and they're staying and they're enjoying. They're bringing their blankets and their chairs. Food vendors reportedly selling out, some beginning at 7 p.m. They were not ready. Many food vendors had crew members meet them in the parking lot to refurbish. Both the trolley and party bus from Gold Hill Middle School remained packed throughout the event, beginning at 4 p.m. and ending at 10:15 p.m. John Weinbrenner of the South Carolina Shore Club, who hosted our beer and wine, reported that this was their largest event to date with TKK, with an increase of 25 to 30% in beer and wine sales. And it tickled me to see him having to refurbish his crew each time. First and foremost, I want to say thank you to our volunteers and city staff, or Best Damn crew. We had T-shirts on and wanted everybody to know that they were the best. Who showed up when the first vendor arrived at 9:10 a.m. and stayed until the last one left at 11:45. They greeted visitors with warm smiles, directed traffic, assisted vendors, entertainers, placed solar flowers, and kept their festival grounds spotless. Vendors specifically mentioned how impressed they were with our crew's knowledge and enthusiasm. Special shout out to our dedicated volunteers, Gigi Hasty, Heidi Schmidt, Caroline Ellerbrock, Cynthia and Todd Striegel, Tanya Eady, Mike Tullis, Kara Hasty, Megan Overton, Kristen and Michael Aruji, Davion, Lisa, Dejan, Delani Overlay, Karen Okalita, and Tony McIntyre. They were amazing volunteers from our community. We couldn't have pulled this off without our amazing city departments. Our fire department, thank you for managing food vendor placement, safety inspections, and placing cameras around the park. Police department, your security presence kept everyone safe and happy, and thank you for taking care of those folks parking in the wrong places and impeding traffic. York County Emergency used their EOC bus that included weather monitoring and site safety from one place. Public Works and Parks and Recreation, they were incredible within their placement, site cleanliness. I've been festivals many years. This is the cleanest site I've ever seen. And all the heavy lifting from fans to coolers, Parks and Rec, the parking, and the park just looked amazing. I want to also say thank you, Mayor Gray, for emceeing the welcome along with Councilwoman Carmen Miller and Councilman Carter, who also brought your family and friends and stayed a while. Thank you. Commander Todd Perham and the Veterans Association for the beautiful presentation of colors. Gold Hill Middle School students, Mike Smith, please forgive me, Alikas Letsirik, and Brennan Amico, directed by Jennifer Eisenhower. Laura Bree Monday and WSOC meteorologist Keith Monday for emceeing throughout the day and keeping the rain at a minimum. I appreciate Patrick Byrne with the TKK Sun for emceeing the final band. Visit York County for connecting us with with a food blogger, as well as providing drone coverage and photography. We will soon have the excuse me, I got food on the brain. We will have the drone footage on our website for everyone to enjoy soon. Also, our very own favorite photographer, Cliff Nichols, who captured the essence of this year's crew, guests, and vendors. A big round of applause to our generous sponsors. TKK Tavern for sponsoring 84 Tribute Van Halen's Meal. Visit York County, providing hotel accommodations for the band 84. Macalusa Golf Carts supply transportation for the festival grounds for Fire and the festival team. Hall of Fame sponsors Puckerbutt, Pepper Company, Rock Hill Coca-Cola Company, Piedmont Medical Center, and Dick's Sporting Goods. And finally, thank you to our media partners who help spread the word. Our social media, TKK Live and TKK Sun. Not only did they just put out the information I sent, but they add pizzazz to it. And it was a lot of fun to see what they would come up with. Print came TKK Sun, had a great visual of our festival map and the events, and had these spreads throughout the festival so people could grab and go. And Life in the K magazine outlined the event in their April issue. Events like these boost our local economy and make TKK one of the most exciting places to be in the county and throughout the Carolinas. Our goal is to make it so great that folks will want to come back again between events. We appreciate everyone who helped make this year's festival one for the records. I'm going to save the best for last, but I wanted to let you know the best damn food entree. Second year is Sal's Roadside Eatery. Sal is out of Charlotte, and he has been he doesn't live here, but he thinks he's a TKKan. So we appreciate Sal. Folks came, they had a QR code, and they were able to vote. He will be at our June concert, as well as the July and August, September, and October. Our runner-up was Jamrock Jerk out of York County. The best damn dessert is a new one to our festival, is LKN's Cheesecakery out of Davidson, North Carolina. And our runner-up was Little Annie out of Kings Mountain. So I do, again, thank you all, and I appreciate the opportunity to serve you. Oh, Mayor, I'm sorry. So next up, we've got Music in the Park series beginning June 14th. Please look at our wonderful website on the events tab. We'll give you all the information. We will have a tribute to Journey, man. And then we have our famous July 4th celebration in TKK. It's a 2-day epic event. We've got lots of planned for you. Please go to our website and check us out. Thank you, Mayor, Council.
Thank you, Ms. Hasty. Great job as well.
And Mayor and Council, I'll try to be as quick as I can on the rest of the report here. From the Police Department, a huge thank you to our team at the TKK Police Department for their continued dedication and hard work. In April, the department conducted 453 traffic stops, which is a 37% year-to-date increase. Completed 1,963 property checks, which is up 40% year-to-date. Responded to 441 calls for service, marking a 28% rise compared to last year. Officers have made 30 arrests, which is up 8% year-to-date. Issued 134 citations, which is up 48%, and gave 354 warnings, which is up 40%. Notably, 79 parking citations were issued, which is about a 3,000% increase, with 45 at Windjammer and 17 at Pitcairn. And I want to note they did all of that while being short-staffed. We've got several open positions at PD that we're actively working to get filled, so our guys and girls with the police department have definitely been getting after it for sure. In addition to their enforcement efforts, the department also participated in or hosted 5 community events, which continues to highlight their ongoing commitment to the community engagement and public safety. With Public Works, as the mayor did the proclamation earlier tonight, with this being Public Works Week, we've got the Backhoe Rodeo. It's an internal event for our guys in various departments. It's being held on May 30th at Pitcairn Park. This year's rodeo includes a new backhoe, which has been a great addition to the team's equipment. The team has completed a stormwater project on Cilantro Court, This project included construction of storm drainage swell through the greenway to prevent rainwater overflowing against a home. As we enter into the summer months, I'd like to remind everyone that city still has free mulch available at Rundy Park on a first-come, first-served basis. So if you need mulch, come out and get it. It's out there and ready for you. Council, this is really more for the public's education, as I know all of y'all are aware, but wanted to spend just a quick moment talking about what the county is doing second read on this evening. So York County has partnered with municipalities throughout the county for nearly 20 years to help fund recreation programs in the municipalities. On May 5th, they did first reading on their budget and first reading to eliminate the special tax district made up of all the unincorporated properties in the county. That special tax district, for those that aren't aware, was 1.5 mils, and that money was divvied up amongst the various cities to help offset the programming cost, as the county does not provide any recreational programming. That burden has been left to the cities for multiple decades. Let's see, in exchange for them providing that funding, the municipalities have agreed to no longer charge non-resident rates for those programs. Well, with that going away, obviously we and the other cities have decisions to make. The county has started a new park department, and they need additional revenues to offset the expense of that department. To do so, they are eliminating the recreation tax on the unincorporated properties and replacing it with a county-wide 1.5 mil tax increase. So yes, when you get your tax bills this fall from the county, there will be a 1.5 mil tax increase to help support their parks. There are no county parks anywhere in the Fort Mill Township, which basically starts at Indian Land and ends over here with us in TKK. There are no county facilities, but we have, between us, the town of Fort Mill, and the great folks with Springs and that foundation with the Greenway and all that they do, plus the recreational amenities both here and over in the town of Fort Mill, that need has been covered. But yet we're all about to start paying 1.5 mils to go towards those parks. They've offered up a $75 stipend for each unincorporated resident that registers for a youth sports program only. At this time, the county has decided adult programming, therapeutic programming for those with special needs, or senior programming doesn't qualify for the stipend, at least right now. I am getting reports from folks that are at the county council meeting. Perhaps they're going to change their mind on that or open that a little further, but it doesn't appear so, at least as of our meeting here tonight. Residents of TKK and all municipalities, for that matter, will be paying that 1.5 mils. The reduction, the stipend that they're going to send us, it's going to equate to about 50% of what we've been getting. So they are saying that we're not eliminating it, but technically they're not eliminating it, but it is being significantly reduced. I have asked county management what rules or restrictions they are going to place on that stipend, and I still don't have an answer. I believe I sent that email on or about May 6th, and I still haven't gotten a response there, so we'll continue to ask those questions. We, being the other managers throughout the county, as well as Parks and Recreation directors throughout the county, we believe there's a path forward that would allow them to fund the Parks Department and keep the funding in place for the recreation programming, but at least 5 of the members on council seem disinterested in having that discussion. Based on the median home value in York County, those non-city participants are going to go from paying approximately $25 to $30 with the rec tax to now potentially, depending on our subsequent conversations in June, could be paying upwards of $180 for one child to participate, if that's the direction we want to go. If we continue to offer those recreation programs to folks outside the city, which again is conversations that are being had at all the cities that offer recreation programs at this point. It's very unfortunate for them because they didn't really do this, as y'all noted at our workshop. The participants aren't the ones that did this. Based on our conversation with other municipalities, we are going to be meeting again later this week to discuss what everybody is looking at doing, which way their councils are leaning and things like that, because we as municipalities want to, as much as we can, try to stay unified in our approach to things. while still hopefully trying to keep things affordable if we can. But the cost of running the programs is the cost of running the programs at the end of the day. Council, I would like to ask for a special council meeting with you guys in addition to our June regular meeting for a couple reasons. One, to potentially consider first reading of an ordinance that would adjust our Parks and Rec fees accordingly because our non-resident registration begins 1st of July. So June 1 starts resident registration only. And our folks do a good job of keeping an eye on that through the month of June to make sure it is resident only. But before our non-resident registration begins, if based on our May workshop conversation, we'll have a fee schedule available for y'all to consider a first reading on. We'll also have more information from all the other municipalities, I would say by the end of this week, first part of next week. Also, we've got our attorney is going to be on vacation during our regular meeting. We've got our contract for all the work being done with TCUD that he has been very diligently working on. It is a lot of 200 pages. More than that. It's big. It's big. Felt it's important that he is here to answer any questions y'all may have on that. So if council, if y'all, and you don't have to do it right now, but if y'all could look at potentially June 9th, for a special meeting and just let me know, that would be great. Council, I do want to let you know that been invited and Dustin and I are going to be going to down to Rock Hill for to WRHI to be interviewed by Lucas McFadden and his crew on Palmetto Mornings about the rec tax. They've already talked to some former county council members that are not in support of what the county is proposing to do. My guess is tonight they're doing second reading, and that will probably pass 5-2 as first reading did. Mr. Huckabee and Mr. Audette, who is our representative with the county, are staunchly against this. They're trying to get them to pause it, slow it down, consider other options, but they don't seem to be getting a lot of traction on that, at least as of right now. So, but I'll be talking, Dustin and I'll be talking to those folks, again, to try to help educate the public as to what they can expect, especially even our own residents, that they're about to start paying an additional millage to the county to pay for parks that my guess is most of them probably won't use, at least not on any type of consistent basis, because of all the opportunities and amenities that they've got up here in this section of the county. And the county council chair, she brought this up at their first reading. She asked the question of their attorney if they can make changes to their budget at each read, and he confirmed to her that she could. So even though they passed second read tonight on it, they could change their course of action at their third and final read, which is scheduled for June the 2nd at 6 p.m. over at the County Government Center. So it's not done yet, but it's getting pretty close. Hopefully, the county will be willing to have some dialogue and sit down and be a partner as part of this, because this is going to make recreation difficult for folks. A recreation program is going to make it difficult for folks who don't live here. It's going to impact our residents from a standpoint of if everybody decides to do a double the fee, which is what we've really been talking about. Well, that means our folks living here in TKK that go over to Fort Mill to sign up for basketball leagues in the winter, volleyball leagues, that thing, they're going to be facing that double the fee. Yeah, our folks that are going that apparently, according to Rock Hill, we've got a lot that go down to the Rock Hill Tennis Center and tennis complex. They're going to be facing that double the fee. Yeah, so yeah, it's going to impact the incorporated residents as well, but there's really not a whole lot of options, especially with the registration software that we all use, to be able to say, okay, well, if you live in this city, you don't have to. It's only unincorporated. It is a nightmare and a massive, massive undertaking that, I'll be honest, the smaller departments like ours, Fort Mill, Clover, York, that's just a task that we're just not equipped to be able to take on, because we would have to individually load every street name for every city one at a time into this thing. We can't just do a massive data dump. So it looks like right now everybody's going to be looking at doing double the registration fee. I think a lot of our conversation is going to be, what are we doing with county stipend? A lot of us have been talking about not taking the stipend. Let the county decide who wins, who loses on that, because it doesn't make a lot of sense to us as to why it's just youth sports. And they haven't defined what youth sports are. You know, they haven't told us, yes, we'll give you the stipend, but no, you can't charge extra fees. They've literally told us nothing at this point. So you'll hear me later at a subsequent meeting as council considers this. My recommendation is probably not for us to deal with that stipend. Let the county issue it directly if that is the route the council wants to go, because it's going to be a monumental task from a staff standpoint of how that works and how that gets to them and everything else. So, yeah, at least with some of the other folks that I've talked to around the county, they seem to be leaning that same direction, but they're all trying to get a lot of answers this week, so that as we meet later this week, people are coming to the table with, I've talked to my council, here's what we've talked about, here's which way they're leaning. Nobody as of yet has voted as a council, as a city council, as to what they're definitely going to do, but I know several of y'all have been talking to your peers with the other cities. Mayor, I know you've talked to all the other mayors and had some conversations. Yeah, we're fighting the fight as hard as we can, but if I'm being honest, I think we're fighting a losing battle at this point, but again, it's not done until the June 2nd meeting date, so.
Is that June 2nd a county council meeting?
Yes, sir.
That's third read?
Yes, sir. That'll be their third and final reading on both the budget and sunsetting this ordinance that's been in place since 2006.
Charlie, quick question about that.
Yes, sir.
Just to clarify for our residents and for anybody else watching, the stipend is only for unincorporated residents. So even though
That is
our
correct.
residents are going to pay the exact same tax as the unincorporated residents,
Mm-hmm.
if our residents go to Fort Mill and pay the double fee, they don't get the stipend.
That's correct.
So seems a little
That's correct.
unequal protection under the law.
At least is what,
Right.
with the little bit of information that has been shared with us with regard to the stipend, it is only for unincorporated youth sport participants only, and they have to be unincorporated York County. So that's where the county is right now. A lot of people got up at their public hearing last week. Mayor and Ms. Miller, Mr. HYSLIP, I definitely appreciate you guys taking time out of your schedules to be there. Y'all saw it firsthand. You know, we had some of our youth sport coaches get up and talk. There are a lot of people from around the county that got up and talked, some of which have had this information for a week, and they had ideas that could be considered. Yeah, and it's just not being discussed at this point for whatever reason by the county. They seem not to want to sit down at the table and have the conversations with us. So it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate for the participants, probably more so than anybody, because, as I said earlier, I believe there is a path forward if people would be willing to sit down and have the conversation and give it an honest listen and do the math and figure it out. So. And with that, Mayor, I hate to close on a down note, but that concludes my report for this evening. Be happy to answer any other questions y'all may have.
Anybody have any questions for Mr. Funderburk? Okay. I would say to all of our folks within the sound of my voice, please pick up your phones, pick up your computer keyboards, and send a barrage of, we don't want you to tax us another $1.5 million for parks that we already have. Just pound the county council with it. Particularly chairperson and some other folks that are not our representatives, Tom Audette and Watts Huckabee, they're not for this, but the rest of county council is. So I would ask all of my folks to arm yourselves and let it fly. So anybody else have any other comments or anything for Charlie? Okay. All right, moving on. That'll bring us to our committee commission reports. So if you would please, Councilman Carter, you have anything for the Planning Commission? I know Ms. Dubleski did present at the workshop, so.
She did. Yeah, she presented at the workshop. The last Planning Commission meeting took place May 5th. There was a quorum present. They approved the meeting minutes from April, and they discussed two things. The one that we had the meeting about was the approval of the River Falls map, the final plat for that one. And then they discussed again the consideration of approving the rezoning of the property that is not in TKK right now, but annexing into TKK. They were in support of both and approved both.
Okey-doke. Thank you very much, Councilman
That is
Carter.
it.
Mrs. Mayor Pro Temp, if you would please on the Economic Development Commission.
I was honestly not prepared to present that, but they did meet, and most of their discussion was centered around the Business Connect meeting that they had the month before. It was a good success. There was some good information that was shared, and the rest of the meeting was spent on planning for the rest of the year and where their focuses are going to be.
Well, for not being prepared, that was pretty prepared, I must say. Thank you. I mean, I prepared for mine, but. So we did have the RFATS meeting on Friday. Stormwater next, okay. Jumping the gun. I was getting all happy about roads. Okay, stormwater. Ms. Heather Jones, if you would, please. Stormwater and roads, they kind of go together anyway.
Yeah, well, we had our May meeting, we did have a quorum, and so we were able to appoint our new positions. I was volunteered and elected as the new chair for the committee. Maureen Norcutt is our new vice chair, and then Lauren Kohut, hopefully I didn't just mangle her last name, is going to continue as our secretary. So we've been working on looking at educational material. We can help out per Ben, our city staff liaison, we've been working with him on things that he thinks would be helpful for us to help get out to the community in terms of educational material. And Lauren actually works with GIS, so she got on the York site and got us some great maps that we're hoping to continue refining and working on to help sort of visualize what it looks like on the peninsula for our green spaces and areas that are city versus Duke versus those sorts of things that are questions we hear a lot from the public. We're looking into what we want social media to look like for us. We'd like to get that established the same way that some of the other cities and municipalities have a stormwater Facebook and social media presence. And then also looking at ways for us to reach out and start connecting with the residents. So we're looking at speaking with Ms. Hasty about being at CATAWBA Fest and what we would be presenting there, and possibly some ways for residents to get involved with things such as drain markings to identify drains and volunteering to help clean them out during storms before staff are able to get around, which is something that sort of is organically happening anyway, but sort of formalizing that. And then Ben has also been looking into the Cleanest Stream program, the national level one, and been talking to, in particular, Fort Mill, and he had recently been at a training. So those are things we're continuing to work through, and we'll hope to have some more concrete reports at from our future meetings.
Thank you, Ms. Jones. Can we do RFATS now? All right. All right. So we did have our RFATS meeting. For everybody who doesn't know, that's the Rock Hill Fort Mill Area Transportation Study. We did vote on our long-range transportation plan for 2055. Looking good. We've got a lot of things in the pipeline to make our commutes a little bit better, a little bit safer, and to try to curb some of the traffic that we have. So we're working our way to that. We did have another reading for the comprehensive plan. So with that, we are moving forward with the comprehensive plan for 2055. And then we had some updates on our current projects. Our sidewalk from Mason's Bend or New Gray Rock down to CATAWBA Park is still in the right-of-way procurement section, so we are still waiting on that. Hopefully that will be getting out of our way shortly, and we can get that going. That will be a great addition for us as far as helping to further keep our pedestrians safe. Did speak with SCDOT about the plans moving forward for the rectangular rapid flashing beacons, and they are currently in the planning stages of that, so we're looking to have that soon. So we'll have all of our crosswalks on TK Drive. We'll soon have the rectangular rapid flashing beacons to try to keep our kids safe, and our other pedestrian, walking, biking, and Ped Coalition folks will definitely be happy on that too. So hopefully we'll have all that in and done by the time school rolls around next year, so that we can keep all of our kids safe when they're going to school, and our boys and girls safe as they go to ball practice and all that good stuff. So, but yeah, major improvements on the site at 160. We are currently on schedule, and they are going to be flying girders this week and next week. So if you can avoid the area, please do. They're going to have some traffic patterns and stuff that are going to be a little bit funky. So I would steer clear of that area, as they'll be having large concrete items and cranes swinging everywhere. So if you can avoid it, avoid the area, and if at all cost, if you need to, just be careful and understand that there are folks out in the road working, and they want to go home at night too. So just be careful, be safe there. And other than that, RFATS, that's pretty much all we covered. So, okay. That will bring us to our public comments. Ms. Heather Jones.
Thank you. Back again. My name is Heather Jones, 2109 Bonville Way, and I'm here one more time as from the PTO at TKK Elementary. And I've already emailed council and some of the city staff, but I'm just here to give a thank you. I've been up here previously several times talking about our golf tournament, talking about several things that have been going on at the school throughout the year. We have completed those. We're Friday. Everybody, it's crazy town over there, but Friday's our last day. We completed the golf tournament. First year's always a learning curve, but we had a really successful year. I shared with you guys, we raised $7,000, which was enough to finish off our outdoor classroom, which has been a long-term project over several PTOs, so we're very excited about that. And we already had volunteers from our parents to do our second annual golf tournament next year. And we're gonna make some adjustments based off feedback, and we're really gonna be excited to bring that to you in the fall after I take a break from all the PTO stuff. But I just wanted to thank council. I wanted to thank the city for all their support to the school this year. I especially wanted to thank our fire department, police department, Dustin with Parks and Rec. We had our blue ribbon parade on top of having our field day, on top of having all the end of year class. I won't give you the full list of what the last 2 weeks of school looked like. But I do know, for example, our mascot Titus was able to ride on Truck Norris for our blue ribbon parade, and it was 95 degrees, so he was the happiest we've ever had when he came in and was like, that was amazing, I didn't have to walk the loop. Can we have Truck Norris every single time I'm out? And the kids always get a blast from it, and the parents who hadn't yet seen Truck Norris but have been hearing about it were all a little confused why this tiny little truck was so popular, but it is. But thank you for all the auction support and for just everything you guys have been doing for the elementary school this year. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Heather.
Thank you, Ms. Jones. And thank you for all the work you do for our children, for that and our PTO folks. Hats off to everyone that works with our kids and does it in a volunteer capacity for our schools. Hence why we have the best schools anywhere in the nation. I'm just going to go ahead and say it myself, because I know we do. Between our teachers and our parents and all that, we've got the best schools in the world. So thank you to all folks that do that. So that'll bring us to our approval of minutes. I would entertain a motion. Is anybody going to give me a motion for approving the
A
minutes?
motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Thank you. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any additions, deletions, subtractions, further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
was Heather the only one signed up for comments tonight?
Yes, sir.
Okay. She had enough enthusiasm for everybody.
And she was very enthusiastic, and I appreciate that about her.
That's right.
All right. Next item of business is a consideration of awarding the bid for sidewalk repairs. In accordance with the city's procurement code, bids were solicited for the project. This item is before council to consider awarding that bid. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, members of council, motion to award the bid for sidewalk repairs to BET Trucking, Inc. in an amount not to exceed $60,000 and authorize the city manager to issue the notice to proceed.
A motion, I have a second.
I'll have a second that.
I have a motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion?
Just for the public's knowledge, which sidewalks are these? Is it general modified repairs, or is it new sidewalks?
They're all over the city, to be
it
quite
the
honest.
milling project?
I'm pretty sure that
Leveling.
we had in
Level,
the
yes.
RFP, we definitely had a list, but in some areas, yeah, I mean, you've got God, you've probably got 50, close to 50 different sections, throughout various parts of the city, but it's everything from replacing panels to using a piece of equipment to blade down where it's just a small lift, that kind of thing. So it's a little bit of everything, but it's our maintenance superintendent, Chad Holland, does a great job of keeping up with the list as people call things in, as well as developing his own list and merging them together. So that's what the bids were based on. But yeah, you've probably easily got 50 different parts of sidewalks throughout various parts of the city.
Thank you.
You're-
I know
Yes,
it's easier to listen than sometimes to read the.
Your mother's back will thank you. Your mother's back will thank you.
Step on a crack, break your mother's back.
For those of you old enough to remember that rhyme,
That is,
especially you.
well, you do have a
Step on a
cold. so-
crack, break your mother's back.
Yep, that's a good one. All right.
It's listed as 137 sections of sidewalk.
Yes, it's a lot of sidewalk. Okay. All in favor? Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Okay, our next item is a consideration approving the surety agreement and performance letter for labor and materials in the letter of credit for River Falls Map 4. Taylor Morrison has requested approval to proceed with the final plat for Map 4 of the River Falls development. As part of this process, they have proposed to enter into a PLM surety agreement with the city and provide a letter of credit to cover the remaining infrastructure improvements required under the Map 4 plat. The improvements include the final lift of asphalt on the roadways, as well as the installation of sidewalks and street trees.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the performance, labor, and materials surety agreement and letter of credit for River Falls Map 4.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Do we have further discussion? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. It's looking good over there. It really is. If you guys haven't driven in the neighborhood, it's looking really good over there. I really like the way it's laid out, and they're doing a good job for us. Yep, sure. Okay. Our next item is a consideration of the introduction and first reading of an ordinance to annex tax map number 645-00-00-027, otherwise known as 2320 Vineyard Road, and rezone from RSF 40 in York County to R40 in the city. A public hearing was held on April 14th, and the Planning Commission recommendations regarding this annexation was given on May 7th. This item is for council to consider the first reading of an ordinance which would allow the tax map number to be annexed into the city and rezoned.
Mr. Mayor and members of council, I'd like to make a motion to approve the introduction and first reading of an ordinance to annex tax map number 645-00-00-027, 2320 Vineyard Road, and rezone from RSF 40 in York County to R40 in the city.
Se-
Tom's got it. Having a motion and a second, do we have further discussion?
Charlie, just because this question was asked right before the meeting started, the connection is going to be from,
I believe technically the connection is from the house to River Falls Parkway, right? Or is it Hubert Graham?
Hubert Graham.
So to
Yeah,
Hubert
Max right,
Graham.
Hubert
Yep.
Graham.
So it's adjacent to the River Falls development, the property is. And the driveway connection from that house currently is off of Vineyard, and the homeowner, property owner, is going to connect it over to Hubert Graham for all the reasons you can imagine, versus having to go through Vineyard up to McKee and roundabout in Charlotte and all that good stuff to make your way back down to this area. So, and they'll be doing that driveway installation themselves.
and also to reiterate, this is not changing zoning, it is residential, it's staying residential. There's
Correct.
no additional change to it, and again, it's just for
That-
clarification.
That is correct. It's a fairly large tract of land, especially as you look at home sites, currently existing in TGK. Nick, it's 6 acres? Oh, okay, so this one's a little over 2 acres. There's an adjoining piece of property that may come at a later time. They're currently underway in building their house, so they wanted to stay with the county right now since they're in that part of it, but that may be coming to us at a later date, because they're also interested in being able to connect through that River Falls subdivision. But yeah, this house has been there for quite some time. The homeowner is not looking to leave, and for them to subdivide it, they would have to come back through the city, assuming y'all approve first read tonight and the subsequent second read. So yeah, nothing's really changing from our end of things.
Okay, any further discussion? Nope. Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Next item is a discussion of a potential ordinance to repeal, amend, and/or adopt various sections of Chapter 26, 34, and 46 of the city's codes as it relates to law enforcement matters. City staff have conducted a thorough review of multiple sections of the city's code to ensure local ordinances align with current state and federal laws. In that review, staff is recommending updates to better support efficient and effective governance by our local law enforcement. This item is for council to discuss the proposed amendments to the city codes. So let's discuss.
Hello, Chief.
Hello, everyone. How are you this evening? Thank you for your opportunity to come up and address this with you tonight. As you may or may not know, part of our vision statement is that we provide a high level of public service while executing effective and ethical law enforcement practices. And so when you look at those two words, what is ethical and then what is effective, what is brought before you tonight is as a result of a comprehensive review of our ordinance. If you recall a couple of months ago, as I stood before you, Ms. Miller, we discussed about doing a comprehensive review, and I said we were in the middle of that. And so over the past several months, we've done that. And the ethical piece comes in, there's been changes to law, there's been new case laws that has come out, there's been wording that needs to be changed, and some of our ordinances you're going to see tonight has been adopted back in 2013, 2016. So there's a request to repeal some of that language, and I'm going to explain to you why. And then the effective piece is also because our times change. Our city grows, new things happen and occur. And as a result of that, there's new practices, there's new policies, there's new procedures, and we want to be effective in how we do that. We want to partner with our business community and also our citizens to make sure that we're doing things to keep TGK the safest in the city. So in summary, basically there's 3 reasons why I'm coming to you tonight. We're going to change things or ask you to change things as a result of court rulings. We're going to propose ordinances that will help us to be proactive in what we want to do. In talking with conversations with you about various topics, you have expressed your expectations for us to be proactive about things. And so these ordinances will allow us to do that. And then the changes to the proposed ordinance will come from any current ordinance that is here in South Carolina, and I will tell you where that is. Although I wish I could take credit for writing this language, I'm not an attorney. I am a police officer and have been for 28 years, so I am literally borrowing this from other places to where I saw to where it would meet our need here into the city. So council, if it appeases you and it's okay, I'm going to go by section, each and every section, and talk about those sections, and then talk about how we're going to make those changes, and then why we were going to make those changes. Is that okay with everybody? Okay. Section 2621, which is special police. This was adopted back in 2016 by the city of TGK, back when we had a strong mayor form of government, which would then allow the mayor to appoint police officers and get a special police force in time of needs. This is currently covered by section 23-2030 of South Carolina state law that addresses mutual aid agreements. Also, state law will cover what it costs or what it covers to be a police officer, what credit certifications we have to have, what training we have to have, and also mutual aids will also discuss the payment for any mutual aid that is done here in the city. We currently have mutual aid agreements with York County, Fort Mill, Rock Hill, Clover, York. We also have a mutual aid for the DEU, for the SWAT team, for the also for the crime scene unit. So we do have a lot of mutual aids that are already in place for us to be able to get those officers to come assist us in a time of need. So I'm asking for that ordinance to be repealed because state law already covers that situation. Any questions about that one? Okay. 34-48, trespassing was adopted in 2013 by the city, and state law already covers that ordinance by having 1611-620 and 1611-610 as adopted by the General Assembly, so that is already covered under state law. Any questions about that? Graffiti was adopted in 2013 by the city. Section 1611-510 of state code covers destruction of property. And then 1611-770 also covers illegal graffiti violations. So again, redundancy here, we have a state law that covers that. Any questions about that one? Entering a vehicle, 34-50 is covered by South Carolina State Law 1613-160, which for shorthand for police officers, we call that B&E auto or burglary and entry into a vehicle or auto, but again, that's 1613-160. 3475, hindering officers in the line of duty. That was adopted in 1989. If you'll see that first sentence, it says, for any person to hinder or obstruct an officer. That's kind of a little bit of a vague language in my opinion, and the Supreme Court has held about vague language and gave rulings on that. So I'm asking to replace that with 34-97, and I am going to read that to you here in just a moment, okay? 3495, disorderly conduct. That was adopted by the city in 2013, and there's 2 points of this ordinance that I find to ask you to repeal. The use of open profanity is considered by the Supreme Court to be protected speech in certain circumstances. And then also it's not against the law to be intoxicated in public. There are certain criteria that you have to meet for that to occur. So because of that, I'm asking to strike that language. And disorderly conduct law is really covered in rulings by the Supreme Court in the First Amendment. With that being said, we've chosen to use verbiage that mirrors what the Supreme Court has said and basically says that there is protected speech with the exception of fighting words. And fighting words is words that would cause another to immediately want to go, as the courts put it, fist to cuff or to fight. But there are circumstances in which just one word will not cause that to occur. It has to be a series of events that would orchestrate a disorderly conduct to occur. Now, this is learned through the learning of the court cases, reading the court cases, what the courts have told us. I mean, the first court ruling on this was given in 1942, I believe it was. There's been several cases since then. It was redefined in 1989. But there's a lot of extensive training that we have on this particular topic, and we, the police department, have just completed First Amendment training in our recent in-service for officers to understand what fighting words are. This came from, or this particular verbiage can be found in the ordinances in Columbia, Newberry, and also Greenwood, South Carolina. Any questions about 3495? All right. 46.1, this directly came from the Greenville Code of Law and also the Columbia Code of Law. And basically what it defines is drinking in public. This ordinance was adopted by us in 2013. And again, there was some very vague language here. We are asking to update that language to define what alcoholic beverage is. But I would like to make a recommendation after talking with Ms. Miller. We both agree that in number 2, the very last sentence, it talks about being securely affixed. And we are proposing that we change that to be the last sentence to read as follows. Open container means a cup, glass, mug, or other similar container, and also any bottle, can, flask, or other similar container to which the seal is not sealed or that has a broken seal where some contents have been removed. So that clearly outlines what being open means. Instead of saying securely, it says that the seal has to be broken and gives additional context to the public.
So more along the lines that it's been open.
Yes, sir, that is correct. So what we did in this point, because of that verbiage there that we did not, or Ms. Miller did not like and wanted to change, I just simply went to the South Carolina Code of Law on open containers on the roadway, borrowed some of the verbiage from that, and then put that into this law here.
Got it.
Okay? Any questions on that?
So, Chief, could you fill us in on how folks would be able to consume an alcoholic beverage on the golf course?
Yes, sir. Although that is city property, you have engaged in a lease with the golf course company, Pinnacle, so they are in control of that property. So because Pinnacle controls that property and is operating a business, they have an alcohol license, which includes the entire golf course, which would allow that to occur here on the golf course.
Same as festivals and the like?
The festivals and things are covered under your special events permit, and through the issuance of the permit is documented on that permit that they're allowed to have alcohol there. That's why we put up the fencing and the signs at all of our events.
Good.
Thank you, Chief.
Okay.
All right, moving on.
3496, again, this was found through ordinances in North Myrtle Beach, Camden, and Somerville. As I shared with you earlier, 3475 was adopted by the city in 1989. We're proposing to give that some greater context as to what interference and obstruction means by really specifying that through this ordinance. And then in 3497, we have split that out to also include public employees, as it did in 3475. So that was just language that we extracted, mirrored, so that way we are, again, making the words intent and hindrance, what does that, and obstruction, what does that truly mean? And it truly comes from a physical resistance, and as you'll really watch in section B is where the true definition is, and it talks about the putting of oneself in a position or a place of oneself, another person, animal, or object in such proximity to the law enforcement officer or his vehicle, equipment, or the person or persons of a law enforcement interest that would have the effect to physically impede, interfere, obstruct, or hinder the officer in the performance of their duty, threaten the personal safety of the law enforcement officer while in the performance of their duty, or distract or divert the efficient performance of the law enforcement officer from the immediate and safe discharge of their public duties in enforcement, investigation, or arrest, and you can read the rest of it there. Now, I want to be very clear about something that comes up in our training. There's a First Amendment issue in which people have concerns about being able to film. In our training, we understand that we are in the public's eye. I tell officers every day to act like you're on camera at all times because you probably are. So if someone comes up to us and they want to film us, there's nothing that we can do about that. However, we can ask them to be a safe distance away. We cannot stop the filming because that is a constitutional right. So that's not what is being asked here. We're asked for the opportunity to be able to do our job safely and effectively. So just because somebody's standing on the side of the street corner and we are having a traffic stop right there, that does not prevent the person from being able to film us in the performance of our duties. What it does prevent, though, is that person from stepping forward and interfering with us during the course of our traffic stop. Now, if you're looking at things like the public officials and the employees and the performance of their duties, the example that I gave Ms. Miller for this was that if you had a broken pipe and you were trying to get that pipe fixed, you had someone that came out that disagreed with that pipe being fixed because they were disputing about the land, whose the pipe was, where was it at, and all of a sudden they decided to sit on the pipe and stop our T-CUD individuals from being able to work on this said pipe. The T-CUD could call us. They could not make the arrest or issue the citation at that time, but they could call us, and we would be able to address the situation with this particular ordinance. Any questions on 3497? 3498, again, came out of Greenville, South Carolina. Again, to give a false name is illegal. And if you ever go through the process of having to change all the paperwork, it is so time consuming, and it causes a big problem with us. So again, that's why we're proposing that ordinance. 3499 I spoke about earlier when we talk about intoxication and impairment. We wanted to give a clear definition of what intoxication was. Again, someone that's had an alcoholic beverage going from their friend's house from point A to point B, and they might be on the side of the road, walking back and forth. That's not necessarily cause for someone to get a citation or arrest just because they might be intoxicated. You have to show and meet the definition of what intoxicated or impaired condition means in order to address that situation. So again, It's given very clear language as to what that means, so individuals know that when police engage with them, someone walking down the sidewalk, yes, they can be intoxicated. Someone walking down the sidewalk, though, that's stepping off the sidewalk, walking into the roadway, now they're a danger to themselves, and they could be a danger to others. Or someone that's intoxicated, and they're so intoxicated they're causing a nuisance to others and being disorderly to others. Now we're talking about something different than what is of the legal standards. So again, 3499 is giving clear, concise definitions of what intoxication means. Any questions about that? 34100 is the trespass enforcement authorization program. For short, it's also called the TEEP program, and it can be found in North Myrtle Beach, Forest Acres, Seneca, Westminster, Myrtle, Oconee County, and then also Charleston as well. And in summary, here's what this TEEP program says. A business owner or property owner can approach the police department and ask our assistance in helping them to patrol their property to a greater level, okay? What that means is if we have a business that says they close at 10 o'clock at night, and they've had a problem with people hanging around their businesses at nighttime hours, trespassing, maybe up to criminal mischief, they can then come to us by signing an affidavit. That affidavit will then give us the authority that on their behalf, we can then enforce the trespassing ordinance on their property. Now, you may ask yourself a question. You may say, well, Chief, you just sit here and told us there was a trespassing law on state books. There is. That state law also is very specific, that the property owner has to advise police of the offense for the police to take action. The TEEP program is allowing this to be done through the affidavit. So that affidavit that is signed by both parties then becomes public record and goes on file, because at court, when testifying to the judge, the first piece of evidence that has to be entered is that affidavit where both parties agree that they have given the police authority to act on their behalf. Now, the scope of that authority is very limited. The scope of that authority is confined to trespassing at the time specified by the property owner, so the property owner does not lose rights or does not give up any rights. It is a voluntary program that they choose to go into, partnership and collaboration with the police department to address a situation on their property. Now, once that occurs and the affidavit has been signed, and we both all agree upon that we're going to enter in this program together, then there are signs that have to be put up on the property. Now, you may ask yourself, why do you have to have signs? Because state law says you have to have signs. When you go back to that trespassing law, it says it has to be posted in at least 4 conspicuous locations. So we then, to comply with this, we ask the property owner to purchase signs from the city. We will show them the cost to make sure they understand that we're not making any money off of this. We're covering the cost of the signs only. Those signs will specify and say no trespassing at any time or set time as designated by the property owner, and then it gives the city of TKK the authority to enforce the TEEP or the trespassing ordinance on their property. Currently, you're doing this in 2 different places in the city right now. You're doing this at Nivens Landing, and you're doing this at the dam access. You're just doing it without an ordinance. What we're asking for is have the ordinance in place to give clarification of what the police department's role is, but we're also opening this up to be a tool that other business owners and property owners could use as well. Okay?
Chief, real quick, just as a point of clarification, the 2 areas that he mentioned, we're doing that through an agreement with Duke Energy at their request. So we're not just doing it, right? We're doing it through an agreement with Duke Energy, and they've got similar agreements at other facilities around the lake and things like that with other law enforcement agencies.
Duke Energy is the one that approached us and asked us to do this with the affidavit and everything. Sorry, thank you. Sorry, I got one, Charlie. See, you listen, that's good. Thank you. Good demonstration there. Good demonstration. Does anyone have any questions about 34100? Just to recap on that, it's very important for me to really express this. This is a voluntary program. We're not going to go out and tell business owners they've got to do this, or a property owner. This is for those individuals. As we currently have right now, we have some businesses that have come to us and asked us, can we provide this service for them? And I told them I wanted to wait until this was signed by or approved by council if y'all so choose to do so.
I have a question.
Sure.
Actually, a couple. Can you tell me what the difference would be in your response for a business that is not part of the program?
Yes, ma'am. So if you have a business that closes at 9 o'clock at night and there's a suspicious person around your property, and if you don't mind, I'm going to use yours for
And
example.
please
if
do,
that's
yeah.
okay. So we know that you close every day afternoon, and there's nobody typically around your business after about 8 o'clock at night, okay? So let's say 11 o'clock at night, we find somebody walking around your business. We're going to still get out of the car. Still going to investigate within the parameters of law that we're able to do, and try to the best of our ability decipher what's going on. Now, that's called a very consensual encounter. People don't have to talk to us in that instance. We can't make them talk, nothing like that. But we will still respond, and we will still be very proactive to try to do this and determine what's happening. If you have those signs up and you are asking us to patrol your property more, or to patrol your property, I see that person on your business after this designated time, then there is reasonable suspicion now to walk up to that person and begin investigating, because we have reasonable suspicion to believe that crime has been violated. So we can begin asking questions to determine why that person's there, investigate further. Now, what happens is we don't have to then call you and ask you, do you want this person off your property? Without this ordinance in place and without your voluntary participation in this program, we've got to wait for you to either respond or call us and tell us that the person is not allowed on your property, and then to do something about it. With this, you're giving us permission not to have to call you. You're saying people are not supposed to be on my property after this time, and you're giving the PD authority to investigate and then take the appropriate action that they deem necessary to address the situation.
And that's with the signage and the affidavit,
That is
not just
correct.
with the signage.
That is correct. You have to have the signage and the affidavit, because remember, in state law, it says that the police department has to be notified by the owner or the property person. So that's what the affidavit covers, but still, the person has to know they don't have a right to be on the property. So that's why we got to make sure that the signs are posted.
Okay. And when you talk about it has to be signed by the property owner, for those businesses that are leasing property, they're not able to register with this program. It has to be the property owner or the...
So as you will see, there's a clause in there that says there has to be a kind of an inspection of the property. It talks about overgrowth and undergrowth, but it's also part of that is the determination if the property is suitable for us to do this. So Sports Clip is a very good example. Sports Clips calls us and says, I want to be in this program. Well, Sports Clips doesn't control the parking lot. That's controlled by a different entity. And it has many tenants in it, okay? So either A, everybody has to come into agreement, and then the property owner or the person that's in control of that property then has to sign up for that. That's why it's so important that that inspection is done, because now if you got like apartments, or if we ever got a hotel in the city, I'm not proposing that. If we ever got that, or some other type of structure or business such as that, that's why that clause is so important for us to be able to determine, is this a suitable property to be able to do that?
But the ordinance does state who's in legal control, so that would be a tenant as to their particular portion. But in a area where you have a strip mall or something with a bunch of areas, such as the parking lot, they're not going to be in legal control of the parking lot. They're just going to have their area. But if they have a individual lot, a restaurant or something where they have their own premises, they would be in control, even if they're the tenant, because they have the legal authority in there, and it's specified in the ordinance. So you could have a tenant because the owner has given them the legal authority to control through the lease. So you could have the owner, the agent, or somebody that's in legal control, as long as they have enough control of the parcel.
That answered my question. Thank you.
And also, just to clarify, all of this has been reviewed by council as well.
By our legal counsel, yes.
Yes.
We went through it, and it's interesting because some of these were very lengthy, and I was like, where did you get that from? Oh, what municipality? The profanity issue, there was a recent case out of Myrtle Beach where they said that was unconstitutionally vague. So the chief and I have gone through these and discussed. And I think the changes are good.
Okay. Any other questions on 34-100, the TEAP program? 34-101 is public urination and defecation. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Currently, there's no law on the books. If you deal with this, dealing with the state law, it would fall up under indecent exposure, which sometimes is not applicable. So that we're asking just for the ability to have another tool to address the situation with. And then finally, 34-102, which covers loitering for harmful intent, loitering for prostitution, and loitering for drug trafficking or drugs. Pamplico, South Carolina, Myrtle Beach, Travelers Rest, Greenville County, and Spartanburg County have all enacted this ordinance, with pretty much all of them having the exact same language as you see beforehand. Basically, what this ordinance will allow us to do is to address some of the situations that we have seen occur in our city that is unwanted behaviors and criminal acts in our city. Again, we're trying to be proactive here to address these situations and to support our business community as these things are being seen. And so that's why we're proposing these particular ordinances here. Again, I will answer any question that you have on those.
Chief, I have a question on the language. I'm struggling to, not language of one of the sections here. I'm struggling to find it where it said that law enforcement has sole discretion to make a decision on the trespassing party. Do you recall where that was?
That's back in the TEAP program.
Yes, that's right. So I just want a point of clarification on that. So I have full respect and belief that your officers are going to make a good judgment call if and when they approach someone in this circumstance. My question would be, for the purpose of the business owner or the person that has illegal control of the property, if they've had consistent challenges with an individual that's at that property and they want that person trespassed, does the property owner have the right to ask for that?
Oh, most definitely.
Okay.
They do not forego any of those rights at all. You can still call us, and if you see a person that's on the property and you say, hey, I need this person trespassed,
They've been
that's still
consistently
your property.
destructive
You still have that right, and you can still have that trespassing notice issued. Where this comes into play at is 3 o'clock in the morning. We see the person on the property. You've given us that affidavit for the enforcement of this during those hours. Then at 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm not having to call you and ask you, how do you want this handled? I'm able to handle it based off the facts that I have presented to me at that point in time, which is how we generally handle situations.
Fair enough. Thank you.
One of the big points that I want to point out about the loitering ordinance is that if you will read there, it talks about the officers must conduct an investigation. The reason why that has to be done is because in order to present this to the judge, we want to make sure that we are enforcing this law for the appropriate actions that are occurring. We understand that sometimes things happen. People may seem like they're in the right place, but at the wrong time. It may seem like it's the wrong circumstances, but it's the right circumstances. And that's why a thorough investigation has to be done. The officers have to ask the question. And those answers and those questions in that investigation has to be presented at court to make sure that those circumstances are what we believe that they are to be. So again, that's just to make sure that we are presenting, no reason to, but I did like the verbiage that was used by these other municipalities, that we are doing our due diligence to make sure that this properly and not properly enforced, but we're properly investigating the situation the right way and addressing the circumstances with what we believe our perception, it becomes reality through our investigation.
Thank you for reviewing these ordinances and presenting the additions, deletions, and other things that you did. I think it provides law enforcement additional tools to go off and enforce the law. And thank you so much, because I know I had some questions with you as well when we spoke about a couple of the loitering and drug trafficking and prostitution for why. But it's great that you've looked at this and had the forethought to be proactive as opposed to reactive in providing your law enforcement these ordinances. So thank you so much for
Well,
presenting
thank you, and thank each of you for the opportunity to speak with you and meet with you individually to talk about this and to answer your questions, and again, to allow me tonight to present this to the public as our reasons why and give a detailed response to this. So I do appreciate that as well.
I do appreciate your time. I know it's a lot of questions to have to answer individually.
It's okay.
Because it was probably the same questions over and over again. But you were very patient with that, and I do appreciate being much more knowledgeable about the cause and reason for the changes and the additions.
Yes, ma'am.
Also, I wanted to say thank you for taking the time individually with me. I know you did with all of my fellow council members. I know that's a huge time commitment. You have a lot to do on your job, and answering our questions is probably not the highest priority for you, but you made it one, and I really appreciate you doing that and the time that you invested in this process as well. It's a good job.
I know sometimes change can be shocking and difficult, but, you know, the police department is just really trying to put our best foot forward to try to be proactive to keep our city the safest city and do it the right way. So that's why these are being presented to you tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Yep. And for the public's knowledge, when something like this comes up, I want to say thank you to my fellow council members, because each of us have had conversations about this, and there have been smaller and larger conversations around ordinances like this. And the goal for the chief and the goal for us is to get it right. And this went very well. The discussions went very well. The research was very well done. And thank you, Chaplain, for your input on all that.
Do we have any further discussion on the topic? All right, well, let's move right along. Go to cover council comments. Just discussion. All right, so we'll go to council comments.
All right.
Councilman Carter, if you would, please, sir.
I'll go. Here we go. Thank you, everyone, for being here tonight. Everyone that's watching online, thank you so much. I want to say congratulations, first of all, to the girls Fort Mill High School lacrosse team. I love the fact that they were here this evening. Great thing. Having the city manager's daughter here on the lacrosse team was pretty awesome, because we had the mayor's son here last month, and hopefully next month we'll have Tom's daughter here for the high school track team too. So that's really cool. We got some talented children that are around here. Wanted to say thank you to Caroline and everything that she's hosted recently, especially for the Best Damn Food Festival and everyone that was involved for the Best Damn Food Festival. The weather held out. It was a wonderful turnout. The festival was amazing. There were so many people that were there. It was a great event. I can't wait for this event to get bigger and better every single year. So good stuff that way. In regards to events, 4th of July is coming up, and that's also the city's birthday. So be sure to sign up for the parades, the land parade, boat parade. Look out for the concert that's going to happen, the Uncle Sam Jam, and then anything else that's going on related to the 4th of July celebration. It's a really great time here in the city of TKK. So make sure that you get out and enjoy that with your friends and family that are around. What else do I have? Okay, I want to go into recognition real quick. So recognition's a little bit different this time, and it's more related to the festival. So over the festival, there's a couple that own a business here in TKK, and they're at all the festivals, and they in the community pop-up events and all that kind of good stuff. But they give out a lot of like swag for TKK, like hats and shirts and all kinds of stuff like that have TKK on there. And it's really cool to go out there and have that. I'm glad that they do that and really focus on the city. And that couple is Brian and Anastasia Howell with Howell Design. So just want to say thank you to them for what they do and really focusing on the city. They do a lot of stuff that way. This weekend is Memorial Day. Make sure the celebrations are going on, put on by the Veterans Association. Be sure to go out there and participate, please, and think about what it's about, please. That's it.
Thank you, Councilman Carter. Councilman Hyslip, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, reiterate what Brian just said. The Fort Mill girls lacrosse team, congratulations. I had never seen a girls lacrosse game in my life. I'm ashamed to say. We didn't have girls lacrosse where I grew up. Didn't have boys lacrosse for that matter. But I watched one of the games online, and I was very impressed. It was a lot more physical than I thought it would be, given the fact that they had no pads on. They were out there just going at it, and it was awesome to see. And they really, put their hearts into those games. And so, congratulations to them. They really earned that. The Public Works staff, being Public Works Week, to the Public Works Utility staff, thank you for all you do. The city literally would not run without you. Sometimes your work goes under the radar, but it's not unappreciated. It's very much appreciated, and thank you for all you do. Caroline, I think she departed, the job she did on the Best Damn Food Festival, all the volunteers, the entire city staff, great job. Unfortunately, I was at the aforementioned track meet, so I did not make it to the festival, but I've heard nothing but glowing reviews about it. I wanted to just mention the Take It Down Act passed federally today. President Trump signed it, and just mentioning Representative Brandon Guffey from Rock Hill. He had a lot of input into that and worked tirelessly. As everyone, I'm sure, is aware, his son, Gavin, committed suicide. He fought for the South Carolina law to make sextortion illegal here. Gavin's law. Yep. And then he worked with Senator Cruz, and he was at the White House today for the ceremony, and President Trump actually gave a shout-out to him and thanked him for his input. So, not TKK per se, but it's our neighbor, and he's a friend of mine, and so just wanted to mention that. And finally, Brian mentioned it a moment ago, Memorial Day ceremony. All right, that's all I can say. Yeah, sorry.
Gotcha. Councilman Shirley, if you would, please, sir.
Yes, sir. So I want to thank the city and the pickleball club for the progress that's being made with the pickleball renovation. It's been very enthusiastically received by the community that plays pickleball. It looks great down there. And I'm sorry, the name escapes me of the contractor, but happened to be down there over the weekend. And there had been some damage to a couple of the nets on the new courts. And the folks that were working on the older courts where they were resurfacing, they came over and repaired the nets. And I don't know if anybody told them to or what. They just saw them that way and came over and repaired the nets. And they were a really friendly, enthusiastic group of guys working there in the heat on hot courts. And I just commend council for choosing the contractor that we did. They're very well received by the community. They're doing a really good job down there. And it's
USA
really,
Court Builders.
Pardon me?
USA Court Builders.
USA
is the
Court
contract.
Builders. Thanks. Want to give them a shout out. Thank you for that. Good job going on down there. For anybody that's listening to this, whenever I say something that folks don't like, everybody carries on about it and gets pretty busy about it. So I'm going to say something maybe that might be productive that maybe everybody can carry on and get busy about, and that's the rec tax. So if you're hearing my voice, whether you like me or not, reach out to your county council members and leave Tom Odette alone. He's on our side and he's trying to make this thing happen. But if you would speak with the other county council members about that and try to avoid getting additionally taxed by our city and causing unnecessary fees for those that are outside of the city. That would help our rec program tremendously to continue to thrive and be the successful program that it is. Heather Jones, just want to say thanks for always your enthusiasm, your positive energy, and your undying dedication to the school and to the city. I really appreciate what you do. It's always great to hear from you. Congratulations to the girls lacrosse team. Tom, you're not kidding. I've seen them play live for the last several years. I think Councilwoman's daughter, Councilwoman Miller's daughter, was a coach there for quite some time and a player on the team. And, man, those girls go at it. I mean, they are an enthusiastic bunch, and I would not want to play against them. I really wouldn't. But congratulations to all of them and the coaches. I want to give a big shout out to our city staff and what they do to keep our city running. Public Works, Parks and Recs, Emergency Services, all of them. About 20 years ago, my wife and I and our children were looking for a real improvement in quality of life. Moving from New Jersey, any place would be like that probably. But moving down here, we had a really interesting offer in Charlotte, employment offer, and we took advantage of that. And we rode around looking for a place to live, and we were currently living in Huntersville in temporary housing. And I didn't want to put our kids in private school. Everybody said, you got to go to Fort Mill School District. So we rode around every other weekend for a while looking for a place. We kept falling into this peninsula called Tega Cay. We didn't even know what it was. There wasn't hardly any housing available at the time. We happened to find a house that was available. We kind of joked about where the location was, but it was a huge bonus that we ended up moving in next to Scott and Carmen Miller and became friends with them. It was a really cool neighborhood. And so I'm really, really proud to say that 19 years, 1 month, 1 week, and 6 days ago, we moved into Tega Cay. And we moved here for the school systems, but had no idea the bonus that Tega Cay would be moving here. So hats off to everybody on staff that makes it such a great place to work. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Shirley. Mrs. Mayor Pro Tem, if you would, please, ma'am.
Okay. So as we get to the end of the school year and the start of summer, just giving a quick reminder of how many exponentially more kids will be out in the trails, the parks, the streets, riding their bicycles and their scooters. So just be aware and be mindful of the fact that they may not be aware or mindful. Right? Shout out to Joey and Casey for the city website. I've gone in the new city website. I've gone in there and played around with it a little bit, and it is cleaner, it is better, it is more intuitive, and I know that if people go in there, they'll notice the difference as well. Charlie, it was great to hear that the Main Street groundbreaking is still, it's like right there. I've been hearing about it for 2 years, so I'm really, really just holding my breath now for sure. It'll be a very exciting time to have that happen because there's so many opportunities and possibilities for our city that are tied to that groundbreaking. Tom, you mentioned the Memorial Day celebration. I'm sad not to be here for it this year, but I imagine it as I see it every year with the flag. It is such a solemn time of remembrance and care for our veterans, and I really encourage people to participate in that because it does hit home. Recognizing Public Works, it's been shared, but you know what? I'm just going to keep repeating other people's stuff too. You guys are there for all seasons, all hours, and all weather, and it is an unrecognized job at times, but when it's needed, it's certainly highlighted. So thank you for all that you do. Carolyn, I can't even tell you what work went into that because I know that when I'm planning an event, I know what it goes into, and that was like 1,000,000 times more than any event that I've ever done, and it was so successful and so enjoyed by everyone that attended. You outdid yourself, and so did every volunteer and every city department that participated and contributed to that success. Lacrosse ladies, the only word I can think of is you are fierce. And the guys mentioned it about the no pads and no helmets. This girls play a guy's sport with no pads and no helmets. And I know because my daughter came home with the bruises. I've seen them. I've seen the stitches. I've seen the broken noses. These girls are fierce, and they deserve every bit of recognition for playing that game. Let's see what else. I think that is parking stickers. Oh my gosh, you heard how many more tickets are being given out. Get your parking stickers. They will not, they might cry with you, but they're still going to give you a ticket. So please get your parking stickers. Remember, it's Windjammer, Pitcairn, and the Beach Club that all require it. And I also want to give a shout out to Heather Jones because she is a force to be reckoned with, and she is involved, and she is positive, and she's always doing something for another group, another organization, and she's bringing passion to it. So thank you for your time and your effort and your ability to stand up and speak for what you believe in. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Mayor Pro Tem. So that comes to me. As everybody said, our staff, we appreciate you making the city go. From our PD, our fire department, Park and Recs, our staff, our TCUD, everybody that makes the city go, our greenskeepers that take such great care of our golf course and everything. It is a tremendous staff. Folks, if you see our staff out, take a minute to shake their hand and tell them that you thank them for it. If you happen to have a gallon of sweet tea, I'm sure that they would take a gallon of sweet tea. So drop them off some sweet tea when you see them out. But summer is upon us, and in that, kids are going to be outside. They're going to be getting hot. Make sure that you folks realize that summer and heat stroke does not just fall on us older folks. It falls on kids too. Learn to look for the signs: headache, nausea. Any kind of dysphoria as far as seeing stars, black spots, that can be a sign of heat stroke. So make sure that if you see some kids out there that they're hydrating, if you can, give them a couple bottles of water if they don't have any. Hey, they can drink out the water hose just like we did when we were kids. It won't hurt them. Not much. But just know the signs of dehydration. Let's help take care of our kids. If you're boating this year, make sure you're doing it in a safe manner. Make sure you got enough life jackets on board. Make sure if there's anybody on board that is not a proficient swimmer, please have a life jacket on them. The great thing is they've got these new life jackets to where you can wear them. They look like a vest. They're not big, cumbersome stuff, but if they hit the water, they inflate. And they do a really good job of keeping you safe, and that comes from our friends that race boats for a living, and they developed that system, and they work great. They're fairly cost effective, so I would encourage everybody getting some of those if you're going out on the water this year. Just make sure your boating safety. These safety courses that they put on at Cabela's is absolutely outstanding. But just remember, if anybody's on the back of the boat, cut the engine off. We've got enough kids that have gotten sliced and diced, and people that have gotten sliced and diced on the back of boats because they didn't cut their engines off, and they figure, it's okay, we'll just leave it at neutral. No, that doesn't cut it. Cut the engine off if anybody's on the back of your boat. Next thing, our next our events in the park, Saturday, June 14th, Trial by Fire is going to be at Rundy Park. Make sure that everybody comes by and has a great time with us. We'll have the food trucks out there, have all kinds of stuff to eat. We've got the bouncy houses for the kids, so we got something for everybody. Just come pop a squat, have a good time with us, take your seatbelt off, relax a little bit, and we're going to have a lot of fun. So come by and help us party down at Rundy with Trial by Fire. Continue to just be safe, and everybody have a great summer. And for all of our kids that are graduating, congratulations. You have run the race. You have done a great job. I know we've got a couple of those that are here. Congratulations to Noah and Emma Grace and Xander and all of those graduates that have run the race and done a great job. Just continue to do a great job throughout life, and just know that education unlocks doors. So with that, I will call us into an executive session. Do I have a motion for executive session?
Motion to enter into executive session to discuss contractual matters as it relates to American Tower.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. We are in executive session. Thank you, folks. Enjoy it.